Okay, so can you hear my voice now?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see the PDF that I am sharing?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so I think in the previous class we were discussing about the failures in Rails, and then we discussed about the wear of Rails. I had told you that we have three such categories of wear taking place in Rails. One is wear at the ends of the rails. Second is wear of rails at top. The third one is wear on the sides of the rail head. Okay. Now let us move on to the next concept in this chapter, which is regarding creep of rails. Okay. Now this is a typical terminology that is being adopted from what we see in plants or animals that we see in nature. So normally when the plant or any such reptiles, they crawl on the surface, we call it as to be creeping. Okay. So yeah, that's how the name of certain category of plants are called as creepers. Okay. So the reason why we call it as creeper is because it creeps or it takes the support of some surface and then it tries to move either in the forward direction or in the backward direction, right? So that process is what we call as creeping, and similar such process has been observed in railways. That's why they have termed or they have coined this name or this phenomena as creep of rails. So creep of rail is basically the longitudinal movement of the rail in a track. Okay, so along the track when you lay the rails which will be fitted on the sleepers using the fittings and fasteners. Okay, even after that being adopted, the rails tend to normally creep either along the direction of the movement of the vehicles or against the direction of the movement of vehicles. Now this particular creep or the phenomena of creep may be due to the displaced sleepers. Now sleepers getting displaced means in case if you have not designed the spacing properly, or in case if you don't have the fittings and fasteners designed and maintained properly. Okay, the sleepers might be a cause of this creep in case of rails. Next is due to loose joints and heavy stresses on fish plates. Okay, so in case if the joint is not been properly maintained, normally what will happen is you will have a tendency of these rails to be loosened and free to move in the longitudinal direction. There can be many other causes. For example, it might be because of weakening of joints, displacement of points and crossings, and the refixing of rail, which might be difficult to maintain. And then sleepers usually get out of sequence. Hence, it might result in the deterioration of the alignment of the railway track. Okay. Now, these causes uh, can be explained through certain theories. Now, the researchers have come out with three such theories which can explain why and how this creep might take place. So, the causes of creep can be explained in three such theories. One is what we call as the wave action theory, second is percussion theory, and the third one is the drag theory. Now let us discuss each one of these in detail. Okay. First one is about wave action theory. Now in this wave action theory, what happens is, imagine that you have this as the rail. Okay, can you see this sinusoidal wave kind of a thing? This is actually the behavior of the rail when there is a wheel which is moving in this direction, possibly in the forward direction. If you observe here, there is a dotted line. So this dotted line is actually the required level of rail that had to be, right? But whenever there is a load moving on the rail tries itself to get depressed where the wheel is in contact with the rail, and the remaining two portions, both in the forward direction as well as in the backward direction, will be raised, and that raising of the rail is what we call as the lift. Okay, so this being the top of the rail, when the wheel moves on the rail, the portion which is in contact with the wheel will get depressed, and the preceding as well as the forward portion of the rail will get lifted, and that is what we call it as the lift. So the distance between this point, that is the point where the diameter of the wheel coincides with the wheel, till the other point where the depression starts, is what we call as pitch. Okay, so that is what we call as the pitch. Now this kind of a wave normally happens in all the rails, but it might not be visibly seen, just because the metal that we are using here to manufacture the rails is elastic in nature. Okay, it will be having some elasticity in it. Every material has some amount of elastic property within it, but some might be seen prominently by naked eyes and some might not be prominently seen by the naked eyes. But this kind of a phenomena happens in almost all the material. Similar such phenomena takes place in rails. So whenever the wheel of the train approaches the rail, these kind of sinusoidal waves get generated. So when this wave gets generated, the wheel keeps on pushing the rail ahead or in the backward direction, and the wave gets propagated in the respective direction. Okay, and this propagation of wave would lead to the displacement of the rail either in the forward direction or backward direction of the movement of the vehicle. Now a simple example is, you just tie a rope on some particular section, or you just tie it to the wall or a table, and you stretch the rope towards yourself and then just swing the rope. You would see that even if you have swung it just once from one end, the wave that gets generated goes to the other end of the rope. So that is what we call as the propagation of the sinusoidal wave. Similar such phenomena is seen in rails. Now this is one of the main cause of the creep to take place in rails. Okay, so the pitch and depth of the wave depends on three factors. One is the track modulus. Track modulus means the elastic modulus of the track, stiffness of the track, and then the stability of the formation. Okay, so normally if the formation that you have below, which includes the sleepers and the ballast and the sub ballast and the subgrade, if the stability of the formation is weak, then you will have more of cushioning of this kind being seen on the railway track, and hence creep might take place. It should be soft, the formation should be soft, but it should be within limits. That is what is expected. Now this particular problem of sinusoidal waves getting generated can be reduced by adopting certain preventive measures. You can have angular or heavy ballast for better interlocking. Now I suppose everyone knows what ballast is. It has already been discussed in my previous videos. Okay, so ballasts are the cushioning material that we use as the formation of a railway track. You might have seen those crushed aggregates or crushed stones being put together in the form of trapezoidal section on a railway track, right? They are unbounded ballast material. You are not using any kind of binder between them to hold them together. The only way that they will be holding each other together is because of their interlocking property. All those crushed stones that you have seen will be staying in their position because of the interlocking behavior of them, right? They get anchored with each other. There will be a lot of voids between them, and this particular phenomena of having more voids will ensure that their there won't be any water stagnating on the surface. Okay, so that interlocking is very much required. So in case if you want a stable formation, you need to have angular and heavy ballasts. Ballasts are these cushioning materials. Normally we use the crushed aggregates, but there are many other materials that can be used as ballast, which we will discuss in the next chapter. Okay, so if you want this particular creep not to take place, you need to use angular and heavy ballast for better interlocking. Next is increased stiffness of the track. Now, if you find that the formation of the railway track is too soft, you need to increase its stiffness. There are many ways with which you can increase the stiffness. You will discuss or you will study about these in the later part as and how we go ahead. Okay, then lesser sleeper spacing. So sleepers are the transverse members, as I told you earlier. Rails are the longitudinal members, sleepers are the transverse members. Now these sleepers cannot be placed or spaced like the way you want. There's a significant way with which you can do it. Okay, there are calculations that you need to do. So based on those calculations and designs, you need to decide what should be the optimum spacing between the sleepers, and this spacing is what we call as the sleeper density. Sleeper density is number of sleepers per unit length of a railway track. So this sleeper density varies from place to place depending upon what would be the stiffness of the formation that we require. Okay, so lesser the sleeper spacing, stiffer will be the railway track, and hence less would be the chances of creep to take place. Then bigger section of rails. One such remedy is to have a bigger section of rails. Now, this might not be so relevant to us because we already have a standard section of rail, which is an I section, and whose dimension is already been fixed by the standards. Okay, Indian Railway standards. Okay, so this is what you need to keep in your mind. So this was about the first theory, which we call it as wave action theory. Second is the percussion theory. Now, this percussion theory explains to us that the creep might take place at the joints. Okay, imagine that this is a joint wherein two rails, rail A and rail B, are connected together with the help of these fish plates and these fish bolts. Okay, now whenever you have this kind of a joint, and in case if the joint is not properly designed, when I say joint is not properly designed, it would be specific to the level of the rail. Now this is a image which you can see from the side. Okay, so if you stand on the side of the railway track and just look at the joint, then it would look somewhat like this. It's like an elevation, not cross section or plan. So this is the head of the rail, and this particular section is the foot of the rail. So when you join these two rails together, okay, your main interest here is to avoid the creep. You need to maintain the level of both the rails same. So the level of the rails is expected to be the same. Okay, in case if it is not same, that is either of these two might just come up or the other thing might go down. Okay, under such circumstances, okay, when the wheel moves, say for example in this direction as shown in the figure, if it moves in the forward direction, when the wheel comes and touches this edge, okay, then it will batter that particular section or it will hammer that section. In some cases you might see that there will be defects or failure in rail in this particular section. Other than that, if the rail is very strong enough to withstand those stresses, what will happen is the force that is exerted in this particular section of the rail will push the rail in the forward direction. Okay, so if the vehicle is moving with a force P in the forward direction, the weight of the wheel is acted upon in the downward direction, then the resultant of this would be R, which is responsible to cause the creep in rails. Okay, so this resultant R is required to be minimized. So to minimize this resultant R, you need to reduce the contact area that is coming in contact with the wheel. So the best way to do that is to see to it that the rails are maintained at a proper level. So this is about percussion theory. Then is drag theory. Now this drag theory is basically because of the backward thrust given by the driving wheels of the locomotive. Locomotive, as I told you, is the section of the train which has the engine within it and which is responsible to pull or push the wagons that are trailing behind. Okay, so the drag theory states that the backward thrust on the driving wheels of the locomotive of train has got a tendency to push the rails off the track in the backward direction. Okay, while the wheels of the wagons again pushes the rail in the forward direction along the direction of the movement of the vehicle. Now there would be a kind of confusion in the rail whether to move in the backward direction or in the forward direction. But since the amount of thrust generated by the locomotive's driving wheel is too high, the rail will be tending to move in the backward direction. It's like when you are trying to run and you are standing on a foot mat, okay, or the door mat. All of a sudden you could see that because of the thrust given by your feet, the mat gets pushed in the backward direction. Just like that, even here, when the driving wheels exerts this amount of thrust, the rail will be tending to move in the backward direction, right? So there are many other factors which gives rise to this creep. Other than these theories, it might be because of variation in temperature or because of starting and stopping of the vehicle in the start stop zones, or because of improper track alignment and unbalanced traffic, like in some cases where the tracks, you might have seen that not all the railway tracks will be busy like how the other tracks would be. Okay, in the whole day you might have seen in some railway tracks, almost every hour you will be seeing there will be trains moving. But in some other railway tracks in remote areas, you might see that hardly one or two trains might come in a day. So those are the tracks with less traffic intensity, and that's the difference between the less traffic intensity railway tracks and the high traffic intensity railway tracks. So the railway tracks which has unbalanced traffic or excessive traffic moving on, right? Those are the places where these kind of creep related issues might take place. Then comes the track gradient. Track gradient also might be a cause of a creep to take place. For example, if you have a very steep gradient, a rising gradient, then the vehicle would be struggling to climb the hill, and when it climbs it will have to give lot amount of thrust for it to be pulled. Okay, so this particular thrust or such areas where a lot of acceleration is required, the rails will be subjected to this kind of a creep phenomena. On the other hand, if you have a steep falling gradient, okay, then the vehicle might have to continuously apply brakes. Now when it applies the brake, the friction will tend to see to it that the track also or the rails also move along the direction of the vehicle. Other than this, even after designing all these particular things, okay, if the maintenance is not being done properly, then that will lead to the creep to take place. Okay, so this is all about creep in rails or creep of rails. Now all these concepts which I have been discussing uh, uh, previously since my class 1, okay, they are very important, and this is one such important question which is very frequently asked in the examination, that is about creep. Okay, so you need to be very careful in explaining these things with the diagram. So the question, if it is being asked, it would be explain or define creep in rails, and then explain list the creep theories available, and explain any 2 or 3 in detail with neat sketch. Okay, so normally in transportation engineering, especially in transportation engineering 2, as I told you that there will be 3 such parts. One is railways, second is airports, and the third one is harbor, docks and tunnel. Okay, so among all these 3 sections, railway engineering carries more marks. It has a greater weightage because you have lot many things to study in it. So around 60% of the marks will be on railways. Then remaining say 20 or 30% would be airport. Okay, and then the remaining portion is by the other chapters. So you have lot many things to study here in this chapter, and such questions if asked will be for 8 marks or 10 marks in railways. Okay, normally they will be too heavy, right? So this is about the creep theories. Next is measurement of creep. Now, measurement of creep is a very important concept that you need to know as far as you being transportation engineers. So it is very important for you to know about how the creep need to be measured. So when you go at the site to see whether the creep is properly maintained, or if the creep is happening or no, okay, you need to carry out certain tests. I'll check if that image is available on internet. Okay. Okay, I think this image would be more clear to you about how the creep is to be measured. Now imagine that this is the cross section of the railway track and this is the plan. Okay, this is how the rails are going, right? And these are the sleepers. So this is the longitudinal member, that is the rails are the longitudinal members and the sleepers are the transverse members. Okay, and these things that you can see here is the formation, right? Now in many places, if you happen to travel in train from next time, I expect you all to visualize all these things that you have learned. One such thing that you might come across is this creep measuring device. Okay, so this creep measuring device is also called as creep indicators as per railway terminologies. So what you will see on a railway track is, if this is the ballast formation, okay, and if this is the sleeper and these are the rails, then at the ends on both the sides you would see a post. Okay, so this is what we call as the creep indicating post. Now this creep indicating post will be in level with that of the bottom of the rails. Okay, and it would be on both the sides. So there will be a creep indicating post through which a fishing thread, if you have seen a fishing thread, that would be a nylon thread or a silicon thread, which will be almost transparent in its visualization. So that fishing thread might be tied on one end and that thread will be extended from the bottom of these rails and then connected to the opposite post. So when the track is being newly constructed, when the track is being newly constructed, there would be a chisel mark or a simple arrow, just like how you can see in this image. Okay, there would be a chisel mark or it would be painted when the construction is being just completed. So the wire or the creep indicating wire would be in line with those marks that would be chiseled on the foot of the rails. Okay, so this thread and the chisel marks or the paints would be in the same line. After a certain period of time, when the vehicle starts operating on the system, if there is creep taking place, okay, this is how the thread would be, and here you would be marking on the rails, foot of the rails. After a certain time, if you observe that if there is creep which has taken place, when you again try to check it, then the thread would be in the same position, but the rail would have moved in the forward direction or backward direction. How do you get to know about that? Because the chisel mark or the painted mark on the foot of the rail would have either moved in the forward direction or it would have moved in the backward direction. Okay, that's how we normally measure in the simplest way how the creep has taken place or to what extent the creep is taking place. Okay, so normally when the creep exceeds 15 centimeters, then it gives an indication that you need to adjust the rails. So one way is to loosen all these fastenings that you have used. Okay, fastenings would be all these kind of fasteners uh, like pandrol clips, or you might have these kind of anchors which will be holding the rails in position. Okay, such kind of fastenings need to be loosened, and then using the hydraulic jacks you will be pulling back the rails in its original position. Okay, so based on the survey, looking into how much the creep is taking place, in case if it is exceeding 15 centimeters, then you would have to pull back the rail. Okay, or on the other hand, it would be to use anti-creep devices. One such anti-creep device is this. This is an anti-creep device, or even this kind of an anchor is an anti-creep device. That's why they are called as the creep anchors. Okay, there are many such creep anchors that we see being used these days, and those creep anchors can be used to reduce the creep taking place. At least 6 such anchors per rail would be required to minimize the creep taking place in the rails. Okay, so anchors can be either fitted to the system by welding, or spring grip system, or even clamping system. Okay, next there are certain points that need to be considered for effective maintenance of these anchors. One is that it should be strong enough to resist the movement of the rail due to creep. Second is it should be properly butt against the sleepers. But means it should hold the sleeper tightly, and they should not loosen itself over time. Then they should uniformly distribute the entire length, whatever anchors that you are using, it should be uniformly distributed throughout. Then the defective anchors must be removed timely, and then the sleeper should be usually of good quality, and it should not be provided usually on the bridges or the steel bridges or rail bridges. Okay, it cannot be used on that, right? So these are some of the cautionary measures that you need to do, and that's how the maintenance of creep or measurement of creep can be done. So in case if it is asked in the examination, similar such diagram is been given in the textbook that I have told you. You can refer to that diagram and give the following explanation with all these inclusions into your answer. Okay, so I think I'll stop here and I'll continue about the next part, that is about rail joints, in the next class. Okay, any doubts you have?
No, sir.
Was the concept clear to you? Were
Yes,
the
sir.
Okay, so what you can do here is you can start writing your registration number in caps. Okay, do not write in small letters, in caps here in this chat box. Your name first is your registration number. After that, you should write your name in one single message. I think you can start writing. Okay, Prabhu is here. Pooja KM. Okay. Okay. Is that it? Did everyone finish writing their names and registration number? If you are done with it, then I can stop. Should I stop the meeting? Who is this Kushal?
Sir,
Where is your registration number?
I pressed enter to put it in the next line and it came as 2 messages.
That's where you will be marked as absent, because it leads to confusion. From next time, be careful, okay? Kushal.
Okay, sir.
Who is this Abhishek Singh?
Yes,
When I
sir.
save the chat, I'll not be able to see your name. Just your number will be visible. That's all. Even you also. Okay, done. So I'll be stopping the conversation here, and we shall continue in the next class. Okay. Done?
Yes, sir.